News Talk 94.5, WPTI, 96.7 FM, WTOB. You're listening to the Wealth Guardian Show with Doug, Brice, and Garrett, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. In the studio this morning, you've got Brice Payne and Garrett Ray. And this morning, we were talking about key things for parents and grandparents to teach their new graduates. How you doing, Brice?
I'm doing good, Garrett. Happy pre-4th of July weekend to you. I guess before we were on the radio again, it will have already been July 4th. So we're just going to kind of take a moment here and acknowledge that it is the July 4th weekend in a sense.
Yeah, the Independence Day, one of my favorite holidays here for the red, white, and blue, of course.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and on this special occasion, since we are going to acknowledge that this is our July 4th radio show, we'll be off next week. Let's do our Wealth Guardian Service salute here, Garrett. Every week, we want to just take a moment and give a special recognition to everybody out there who puts on the stars, not the stars and stripes, for the stars and stripes, puts on the uniform. Mm-hmm. Our first responders, our men and women in uniform out there doing sometimes the hard and thankless jobs for keeping us all safe. And you too often go unrecognized and your families go unrecognized. So we would just want to take a minute here as we do every weekend morning and let you know that we are thinking about you. We appreciate you and all the things that you do for us that we oftentimes forget. So thank you. And Garrett, to thank you, and Doug for your service in the Navy as well.
All righty. Very good.
Let's do this question that we ask ourselves every weekend morning so that everyone out there can have a better idea of who these advisors at the Wealth Guardians are. They're not just voices on the radio. They're actually real people like you out there. So here's the question. Garrett, what is your least favorite and most favorite food, traditional 4th of July food?
Okay. I guess I'll do the most favorite.
Do the most favorite first? Right.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with something smoked, roasted, grilled on the barbecue. I mean, any hamburgers, hot dogs, if you want to do like a smoked pork butt, that type of thing, all really good stuff. The least favorite for me, and I don't know if every family does this, but I certainly remember it being served when I was a kid. I'm not a fan of strawberry shortcake. I've never thought it was that good.
Okay.
And I remember like people doing like the strawberries for the red stripes on the flag and doing like the blueberries.
Yes.
It just, to me, it's a
color coordinated food.
It's just kind of a not that great dessert to me. It's just kind of, it does nothing for
like fruitcake at Christmas time.
Yeah, it's okay. Right. Strawberry shortcake, neat.
All right, very good. Yeah. All right. Well, for me, my most favorite, oddly enough, is going to be watermelon. Watermelon with ice cream. Yeah. Love watermelon ice cream.
I like watermelon too.
And my least favorite, potato salad.
Okay.
Yeah. I've never had a taste for potato salad. So.
Especially when it's sat out for an hour and a half at the 90 degrees.
Even that's worse.
Yeah.
But even regular fresh potato salad, not my favorite thing. So I'll skip that every time and double up on the beans maybe or something else. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get to this. It's graduation season.
It is.
It's often an exciting milestone, not just for the grads, but for the parents and the grandparents who supported them all along that way. And so today what we want to do is just share some practical ways you can help your graduate make some smart financial decisions early. Mm-hmm. Garrett, you and I, we heard this at a symposium one time, and boy, is it true. Ask yourself, how much money have you spent or was spent on you for music lessons when you were a kid? Or if not music lessons, soccer lessons.
Or softball, something.
Something like that. Yeah. How much money did your parents or you as a parent put into that so that they would, as an adult, take away something, right?
Hundreds, maybe even thousands per sports season.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, how much time does that adult actually spend as an adult using those lessons, whether it's singing lessons, music lessons, going out and playing soccer?
Yeah.
How many hours a year are they actually utilizing all that thousands of dollars that you put toward that?
Probably close to zero.
Probably close to zero.
Yep.
So here's the follow-up to that. How much money does the average parent pay toward financial education for their child? Budgeting, how money works, that interest rates, all of that. How much money and time does a parent dedicate, whether it's tutoring or in class, toward that subject?
Probably close to zero.
Probably close to zero.
Yeah.
Yet how many days a year will that child now as an adult, use what would have been those lessons?
Every single day, certainly every single week, you're budgeting, making some sort of financial transaction.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
So when we heard that, but you and I heard it at the same time, it's like, wow, that is really well said. That is something that I want to share at some point. So here it is. I'm sharing it right now with you. Think about how much money you're spending on your kid when it comes to financial education. It's just not taught in schools that much anymore. Home ec used to be, but it's really not. It's the reading, writing, arithmetic.
Yep.
But money is a arithmetic all of its own. And because that is what we here at the Wealth Guardian specialize in, we really want to make sure that you are aware that kids are far too often, when they get out of school, under-taught on what it means to budget and how money works. So here are some things that we're going to talk about today that you can do as a parent for your graduate to get them on the right course for managing their money.
Yeah.
And the first one is encourage them to start saving and investing early.
Absolutely.
Probably most of us, not if you started saving for retirement the year that you got out of college, you've got to be in the 1 percentile group.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely.
There's not that many people who start contributing to their 401k as soon as they get their first job.
Right.
Understandably, right? You're trying to save up money for a car. You're trying to save up money for a home.
For rent. Yep.
Yeah, whatever.
Yep.
So you get it. It's going to take a backseat for a while. Understood. But that can become a habit, right?
Oh, yeah.
If you, hey, I didn't contribute to my retirement. I'm 23. I didn't contribute to my retirement plan last year. I was working on putting some extra money aside for my vet bills or whatever, whatever you have. And then it becomes the next year. And then the next year. Now it's a habit that you're not contributing to your retirement plan. And plus, from the kid's perspective, that's 40 years away.
Yep.
I'm trying to take care of something that's 2 years away. You know, so teach them the importance of saving for a 401k. Now, what did Einstein say was the 8th great wonder of the world?
Compound interest.
Compound interest. So there's this graph out there that you can see, Garrett. You've seen it. I've seen it, where somebody who saves $10,000 in their first, from age 21 to age 31.
Yep.
They save $10,000 for retirement and then don't save another penny for it. And then you compare that to somebody who doesn't start saving until 40.
And they put it,
and how much more money they have to save because they missed out on 20 years of compounding interest. They have to save an infantile amount more. Well, infantile is not accurate, but an enormous amount more just to catch up to the kid who started contributing early on. So teach them about compounding interest. Make sure, what else, Garrett?
Yeah, I mean, it really goes back to the phrase that time in the market beats timing the market every single time.
I love it.
Particularly for someone who's young, has their entire work career ahead of them. They can take full market risk. There's nothing wrong with getting your, recent grad who just turned 18. Let's open up a student checking account, a student savings account, and how about a Roth IRA? You put like an initial $500 investment. And if Johnny or Susie has a summer job in between semesters, encourage them, put in just $20 a month, $50 a month, something relatively small. When they're 18 years old, my goodness, by the time that they're 40 years old, like I am now, if they had kept that up, even just that small habit, you would be surprised at the compounding that they have, and they're well on their way growing that tax-deferred bucket of money. It's tax-free bucket of money, I'm sorry.
Here, your dad just told us a story earlier today about a client of ours who years ago had put in, what was it, $35,000 into a 401k.
Yep.
She'd forgotten about it for a couple of decades.
She was a nurse in her 20s.
Nurse in her 20s, so contributed $35,000 to her 401k, employer-sponsored plan, left that company, forgot about it, and then years later, what was it, what did you say, 20, 30 years later?
20, yep.
Got a statement out of the blue. How much was it worth?
It was like $450,000
from $35,000 compound interest, 8th wonder of the world,
from something you forgot about.
Yep. So let's do that. Let's teach them that for starters. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Wealth Guardian Show with Doug Ray. In the studio this morning is Garrett Ray and Brice Payne, trying to teach you the importance of teaching your kid about saving and planning for retirement early on.
Absolutely.
Next one, Garrett, before we go to a break here, teaching the importance of an emergency fund.
Yeah, I mean, whether your kid is in college and they're in the dorm, or perhaps they've just recently graduated college and they're looking to get that first roommate, pay the rent, all those struggles of early life, you have to have at least a plan of an emergency fund. Now, that emergency fund could be as low as $500. Let's say that the 1996 Jeep Cherokee Sport broke down and you got to get some repairs done on it. That's $500.
For personal experience here?
Yeah, just a little bit of personal experience. So perhaps you just got, you have a sudden car repair, and perhaps your new graduate has moved from, say, Raleigh, North Carolina, and they're now find themselves living in Chicago, and mom and dad are not immediately available to help them out. That's where that emergency fund is going to register and kick in.
Or as in my daughter's case, who is texting me in real time, my computer just blacked out.
Yep.
Can you help me out?
Yep.
All right.
Yep. So there's take it, folks. You're learning in real time from the Wealth Guardians themselves about past experiences or current experiences about having an emergency fund.
Yeah, very important. So let's make sure that they've got that, so they're not leaning on mom and dad in that every little quote unquote emergency situation. All right. Well, we're going to get to a number more of these in our second segment, but we got to go to a break. And of course, what do we do before the break? Is we have a little trivia question. So Garrett, this one's going to be a little timely since this is officially our 4th of July weekend show here. Federal regulations specify that the American flag can only be flown from sunrise to sunset unless two things.
Okay.
All right. One would mean that it can't fly during that time, and another would mean that it can fly beyond that time. So federal regulations specify that the American flag can only be flown from sunrise to sunset unless two things. All right, we'll stick around for the answer to that trivia question and see if we stumped Garrett on this holiday weekend. On the other side of this break, this is Brice Payne with me, Garrett Ray. The show's The Wealth Guardians, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. And this is News Talk 94.5 WPTI. And this is 96.7 FM WTOB. News Talk 94.5 WPTI. 96.7 FM, WTOB. Welcome back to the Wealth Guardian Show, where we help you retire the job and keep the paycheck. I'm Brice Payne in the Wealth Guardian studio this morning, along with Garrett Ray. And in the second segment, we're going to continue our discussion on key things for parents and grandparents to teach a new graduate. Now, before we answer that trivia question we left everybody out there hanging with, I've got a question for you. A couple questions, maybe. Are you planning to retire? Okay. Probably the answer to that was yes. Have you met with a retirement income certified professional who's also a fiduciary? If the answer to that is not, I want to invite you to take us up on a complimentary review of your current situation. As certified retirement planning specialists, we're going to put together a customized written plan with strategies for portfolio allocation, income distribution, Social Security filing, and tax efficiency, with even the additional benefit of often reducing both the risk and the fees of your current plan. So if you've put aside at least $400,000 and you want to take us up on this no cost, no obligation review, call us at 336-391-3409. That's 336-391-3409, or go to thewealthguardians.com. That's thewealthguardians.com to learn more. Let us show you in black and white how to retire the job and keep the paycheck. All right, let's get to this trivia question. Garrett, you are in the military. I was in military school, so I think we both know this, but let's see how many everybody else out there knows this. It's our 4th of July weekend show here. Federal regulations specify that the American flag can only be flown from sunrise to sunset unless one of two things. So one of these is that it can fly longer than that. The other is that it can't fly during that time period. So let's start off with, under what situation can it fly longer than sunrise to sunset, Garrett?
I think if there's, and you may catch me here, but I think if there's an official ceremony going on where it's an evening ceremony and the American flag is required, that's acceptable.
Not quite.
Okay.
It's allowed to fly beyond sunset if it's lit. If it's illuminated.
Oh, if it's lit. Okay.
Illuminated.
Fair enough.
All right. Now, under what situation can it not fly at some point during sunrise to sunset?
I believe there are stipulations if the weather is so severe, you're allowed to take it down.
There you're at. If it's raining, Old Stars and Stripes is not supposed to be getting wet.
Yep.
So there it is. I served on that honor guard where they get called out in the middle of whatever else you were doing to go over there and take it down because it's about to rain.
Yep.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well, let's go ahead now and continue our conversation on key things for parents and grandparents to teach a new graduate. In the first segment, we talked about encouraging them to start saving and investing early. The next one was the importance of an emergency fund. Let's now move on to one that is really, really important.
My goodness.
Help them understand debt management.
Yeah, man. This is this whole segment here could be a thank you, Dave Ramsey segment.
Yes.
Because the first one here, paying off student loans quickly. Absolutely, 100% agree with Dave Ramsey there that any creative way you can think of as a parent or a grandparent to encourage your student and your young adult to pay off that student debt, have them understand the totality of that debt. Let's get a plan behind it. We're here for it. I have seen clients talk to their kids and their grandkids about like a 50-50 solution. Like, hey, if you've got $10,000 when you leave college and you pay the first $5,000, then hey, mom and dad will help you with the last $5,000. I've seen it different splits where the student owes, 75%, parents will chip in 25%. Anything you can do to help that young adult get that debt at least certainly understood, but paid down ASAP is 100% what you need to do. Once you get that budget set, okay, you're paying off your, day-to-day activities. This is what I need to live off of. I'm maybe investing a little bit, but Ramsey would argue that you're going to pay off the debt even before investing. 100% agree with the Ramsey solution here.
Yes. But let's, as Dave Ramsey will say, there's good debt and there's bad debt.
There is.
There's understandable debt. He will say that a mortgage, okay. Understandable. Student loans, probably understandable. He's not a big fan of taking out a car loan, but he understands that sometimes you have to do that. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the killer one?
The credit cards.
Credit cards.
My goodness.
And this is probably the one bit of advice that I made sure my daughter knew when she got out of high school and out of college, that she understood how easy it is to fall into the credit card trap.
Oh, yeah.
I remember when I was a senior in college, walking past the student union, and there was a booth out there that it wasn't normally out there. And it was somebody allowing any student to apply, if they were a senior, to apply for credit card. I was a senior. I was like, oh, okay, I'll apply for a credit card, and got one. And as an audiophile, almost any of my disposable money that I had in college, which wasn't a lot, was going to go to CDs.
Sure.
Music. And so I went out with the credit card, bought a couple of CDs. When the statement came, I was green to this whole thing. I thought, okay, I spent $20 on CDs. This bill that I'm about to open is going to be for $20. It was for $4. It's like, oh, I get it. I don't have to pay off the whole thing right away. Yeah. This is genius. Probably within a few years, it was up to $1,000.
Yeah.
And that is a pit that is very hard to climb out of. So make sure that, and you can probably speak to your kid from experience if you can, that passion, that and sincerity is going to be in your eyes. Tell your kid to not only manage their debt, but don't go into debt, period, if they can avoid it for stupid stuff. Yeah.
And even if they do, because there is an argument out there, oh, you want to start a credit history, that sort of thing. I would say that if you're if you're that young, getting one credit card that you can easily track, you don't want to be the person that has 5, 6, 7, 8 credit cards when you're 23 years old, right? Because it's not going to be on the forefront of your mind.
Yeah, don't have one necessarily that has an annual fee to it. Yep. And you want that because, one, you're building up your credit score, right? Yep, so you have to have a credit card in order to be able to do that. But what if a grandfather or somebody suddenly takes ill and you've got to unexpectedly fly to the other side of the country? Mm-hmm. That's when the credit card is going to come in handy.
Sure, absolutely.
But not for doing what Brice did and buying loads and loads of music on credit. Not the
and then forgetting about it for a decade.
Right.
Yes.
And Garrett, debt is one of those things that, when you and I sit down with somebody who's come to the Wealth Guardians to help them create a financial plan for retirement, one of the questions that we often get is, hey, should I be paying off my mortgage early? this is really something that people need some advice on, you know, managing that debt. It is not just about how should my portfolio be allocated.
Absolutely.
It's not just about, hey, how can I structure my accounts to pay Uncle Sam as little as possible? Debt management is another one of those things that we help our clients with.
Absolutely.
One of the main factors that it comes down to is, of course, the interest rate. What kind of interest rate are you paying on that credit? Credit cards are notorious for being 19%, 29%, something like that. Insane amounts of money. So if you want to sit down with a holistic financial planner, a fiduciary, retirement income certified professionals, as we are here at the Wealth Guardians, and you want to get some advice on planning for retirement, which might also include debt management. When do you pay that mortgage off? Should you got to buy a new car? Should you just pay for it outright, or should you lease it, or should you take out a loan on it? That is the kind of advice that we help our clients out with. If you'd like to sit down with us, as always, there is no cost, there is no obligation, not just on the July 4th weekend, but every weekend. There is no cost or obligation to sit down with us. Just have to bring in some certain things that we can look over and start getting an idea of what your situation is like. If you'd like to do that, 336-391-3409. That's 336-391-3409. That's our phone number. Pick it up, give it a call. Lynn will answer, and she will get you scheduled to sit down with either Garrett or myself and start creating a financial plan for you for retirement and see what you've already taken care of and what might still need to be taken care of. And we got our website too, thewealthguardians.com. You can reach out to us that way as well. All right, let's tackle another one here, Garrett, because we got a few minutes left. Helping them understand debt management is what we talked about. What's the next one?
Yeah, we've been dancing around this, but introduction to basic budgeting principles. You know, the first thing that we always think about is quote unquote paying yourself first. Now that can look different for different people at different stages of life. Paying yourself first could be $100 per paycheck goes into the savings account. If we have a decent savings, built up, maybe $1,000 in that emergency fund that we talked about. Now maybe we're talking about, okay, we're going to allocate that $100 per paycheck into the Roth account that we helped them set up, or another investment, a non-qualified brokerage account that they have where they're investing in the markets. Paying yourself first before you blow through that whole paycheck is a great lesson to teach your new graduate. Tracking your spending, that's another one. There's many different apps out there. A lot of the banks now also have...
They do a great job with that.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot better in recent years where you can go onto their website and look up your account and see what categories you're actually spending on, how much of that is going towards food versus entertainment versus, the necessities and the non-necessities.
It used to be you had to plug in all that information yourself.
Yep.
Now it knows that if you're going to Lowe's grocery store, it knows that it's groceries and it automatically files it into that category for you. If you're stopping by Exxon, it knows that it's gas.
It's gasoline.
Right. So it's very helpful. You can tweak it a little bit if you have to, but that is very eye-opening to see how much. I bet almost anybody out there, if they don't use a tool like that, ask yourself, how much do I think I spend on groceries a month? Write that number down. How much do I think I spend on gas a month? Write that number down. Do that for a couple of different categories. Discretionary spending, entertainment, going to the movies, going out to eat, and then check in your bank statement and see how much money you actually spent in those categories. If you are not one who has learned to track your budget, you're going to be surprised by those numbers.
Well, Brice, over the years, we've found that even people who are just about to enter retirement, they are well-accomplished professionals. They are in their late 50s, early 60s. Even they sometimes struggle to come to us during our sessions with an accurate budget. And there's been a few families we work with where it's kind of a little bit of a fudge number. And then we have to work around that. So if our seasoned professionals are having a hard time with it, my goodness, we know that our young professionals
That's right.
So let's try and correct that,
early on.
And get them tracking that.
That's right. Once you learn how to do that, it's a lot easier to keep doing it. Well, that is going to be just about all of the time that we've got here. Let me mention our phone number again. We're Holistic Financial Planners, the Wealth Guardians, been in business here in the Triad area for over 27 years. We serve about 500 clients in the Triad area, and we'd love to help you out as well and see what services or expertise we can provide to help you plan for retirement. All you got to do is pick up the phone, 336-391-3409, or go to our website, thewealthguardians.com. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for us this weekend. This is our 4th of July weekend. So, Garrett, happy 4th of July to you and everybody else out there. May you have a safe and healthy and fun, adventurous 4th of July. Fortunately, that's going to wrap it up for this week. We hope the rest of your weekend is everything you want it to be. This is Brice Payne, along with Garrett Ray, the show's The Wealth Guardians, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. And I want to remind you, sound financial plans do not create themselves. Happy 4th of July.
Hi, it's Garrett Ray.